to our 9th community forum to talk about the Peebles Elementary School and the replacement thereof. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rick Howe. I'm Vice Chairman of the Building Committee. Our Chairman, Jim Potter, is unable to be here tonight. He may be here late. He's got kids soccer stuff going on, so he may be along. But I will introduce our team members who are here. Joel Seeley is our project manager with SMA. Kent Kovacs is with Flansburgh Architects. He's our lead architect. Superintendent of Schools, Steve LaMarche. Principal Jamie Norton. I saw Louis Carpenito come in. He's the principal at Bourne, I'm sure most of you know. Natasha Stefana. Karen, Kathy. Who have I missed? Who else? Ed Donahue, who's Director of Business Services for the district. So that's our team. Oh, I'm sorry. Donna's new on our committee, and we haven't been that many meetings together. And I didn't overlook you, I just didn't see you. Anyway, that's our team. The school building committee is comprised of a very broad cross-section of people from town, educators, people from enforcement boards, designers. We have our chairman is an architect. We have a member of the Board of Selectmen. Several of the regulatory boards are represented on the building committee. So it's a very broad span of people. And we've been working for almost 2 years on this project, directly on this project. But this all started really over 20 years ago when this building was deemed by the state agency that governs such things as being in need of rehabilitation and expansion. It was 20 years ago. And the state at that time put us on the state list. The voters in Bourne at that time decided not to proceed with that project and instead went forward with the middle school, which is great, of course. But here we are 20 years later, 20 years of deterioration later. Joel just saw me just showed me a horrifying exit off the library, that exit in the back there, that is so cracked that I don't even think we should be sending kids up and down.
I know, I stopped that.
That is horrible. So this building is in really bad need of rehab, of replacement. We've gone through a lot of different discussions about options. Replacement of this building is really where we've gone, and Joel and Kent will give you all the details. And so with that, Joel.
The school building committee really was formed over 2 years ago with the October 2014 special town meeting in which the town voted to appropriate feasibility funding to study this school and develop a solution for this age facility. The building is not from 1953. It served the town extremely well over its years, but it's very aged, and as Rick just pointed out, there are some significant structural issues with this building. The town meeting directed the building committee to work with the Massachusetts School Building Authority, that's the MSBA. The MSBA provides grants to communities throughout the state. They oversee all school construction. And over the last 2 years, the building committee has followed their regulations, followed their steps to the point where the MSBA has agreed with the proposal that we'll talk about tonight and is willing to participate in providing a grant to the town of $15.15 million, which is a significant grant for the community. At the July 20th board meeting, the MSBA Board of Directors actually voted to approve this design presentation that you'll see tonight, which is the grades 3 through 5 new Peebles School. The MSBA process is a very rigorous and defined process in which they expect the communities to go through and follow their regulations because they're your partner. They've been your partner all along, been providing a great insight, great guidance to the process, but you need to follow their steps. So it's a 3-step process that the feasibility study is comprised of. The first one is the PDP, or preliminary design program phase. That started last summer and completed in December. And that studied all the myriad of options that potentially could remediate the conditions of the Peebles School, and Kent will go into those a little bit later. MSBA approved that report. It's posted on the town's website. It's about 1,000 pages, so don't print it immediately if you want to scan first. But all of that documentation is MSBA's way of saying, local community, make sure you're looking at all possibilities. Don't reach any conclusions. Do a thoughtful, thorough investigation of what the solution is best for the town of Bourne. They approved that submission in December. We then moved to the preferred schematic report, which is the PSR report. That was submitted in June. At that stage, all those options were vetted down to the one single option, which was the grades 3 through 5 new Peebles School. And that's what the Board of Directors of MSBA voted on in July to say, we agree with that solution. We're going to participate in that solution. Go to your next step, which is the schematic design phase. And that's the phase that we're finished with right now. We're about to submit that final document to the MSBA. Very comprehensive analysis, very comprehensive design. It's been over a year and a half of simply design work getting to this moment. We'll be submitting that schematic design report on September 29th to the Board of Directors, to the MSBA for their Board of Directors meeting. Looking forward then to the October 17th special town meeting vote to appropriate the funding for the new Peebles School, and then a December 6th special ballot election, which would exclude the tax increase relative to Proposition 2.5. So there's 2 votes, 2 very, very important dates for the town relative to this very, very important project. The building committee has directed us to make sure we're doing as transparent a process as possible. They've met 25 times over the last year and a half, open meetings, all publicized, all televised, with the intent to being as transparent to the community as possible. All of the meeting minutes, all the presentations, all the documentation relative to those meetings is all posted on the town's website under the school building committee folder. There's also been 8, and this is our 9th community meeting. We've been alternating between Bournedale and Peebles to make sure all constituencies have the opportunity to participate in this process. It's been a great process. It's informed the architects significantly about what's important to the town relative to the design. We've met with town boards, over 6 board presentations, provided an update to town meeting. We've had 2 community-wide web-based surveys done over the course of the last year and a half. Very, very informative. A lot of participation town-wide, and then also, providing some feedback relative to the design direction. So it's been a very open, transparent process, lots of documentation, lots of backup to the proposal that you'll see tonight. And with that, turn it over to Ken.
Thank you, Joel. I want to take a look at defining the need. A lot has changed since 1953 in the way that students are educated. And this building, if we just look at state requirements for education, does not meet the space guidelines. The gymnasium is undersized, there's a lack of special education spaces, there's a lack of collaboration and project-based learning spaces. The library, if you go into the annex, it is a glorified circulation space. It has a large stair, a lift, and the stacks are open to 12 classrooms, which is not conducive for students who need independent learning, want to focus on learning in a library setting. As you can see, the art room is right here, off of the cafeteria. Again, disruptive to how they operate, as well as the music room is above this, off the gymnasium. Access from the gymnasium in a former locker room. So if you go in the music room, you can actually see the tiles in the shower stalls going back to 1953. As well, the opposite room in the girls' locker room is the teacher's planning. That's their workroom with the copiers and fax machines and their desks, where they can have collaborative conversations. But it's in a locker room. Again, shower stalls on the walls. So there's a lot of things that have changed. The school's been very resourceful. There are guidance offices carved out of storage closets. They've done the best they can. And the state recognizes this, and that's why we have the opportunity now for this new project and provide a school for the students to meet those guidelines. When we talk about the physical ailments of the school, as Joel had said, it's 63 years and has served the community well. This building, just from the site, there is a lack of handicap accessibility. There's slope sections of the walkways and the asphalt outside that actually sheet water into the building. At the last community forum here, after rainstorm, that vestibule between the annex and this space was filled with water. That's a hazard. And it's also, there's a lot of asbestos tile there. You don't want water lifting up asbestos tile. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now the school is aware of, but again, there's a lot of conditions that happen that come along with an old school. The exterior, it lacks insulation. We know the brick does not have insulation behind it. These single pane windows virtually just block out some wind and some rain, but there's no thermal value at all. Buildings built to today's code standards have a thermal value. What that means is it's efficient to operate the building for heating and cooling. So you're wasting a lot of money, literally throwing money out the window with this building. The interior has shown its day, it's worn out, needs replacing, and all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing equipment needs to be replaced. The school's been doing a great job replacing pieces as they go, but the entire MEP system, which is a large portion of money, needs to be replaced in this building. And again, I want to stress that the school in the town has kept a margin of safety for the students. They've kept this building safe, but it's at an extreme cost to the town. And this is money that can go towards educational programs that's going to fixing windows. It's something to think about. When we look at areas that need to be addressed sooner than later, we know that brick has fallen away from the building in the past. I'm going to show you a couple slides that point those areas out. That needs to be watched. The addition, the 1959 addition, we know it was built over the old leaching field. Most likely it was compacted when first constructed, and it is sinking. It has a dramatic slope across it. The egress stairway in the back that has significant cracking, that is dangerous for students just to walk down, is a major issue here, as well as just the inconvenience of the classroom sloping about 4 inches. Every year, custodians come in and they have to cut the doors just to meet the slope of those rooms. But what the town needs to pay attention to is the network of plumbing pipes and heating and steam pipes underneath that addition. As that building settles, they can loosen the fittings, and you're in for a much bigger problem. A problem where that's going to have to be closed for a significant amount of time, and the students are going to have to be placed somewhere else. There's ventilation concerns with this space, the gymnasium. When the exhaust fan kicks in over here, it takes the ventilation from these 2 unit ventilators. So this does not meet code currently for ventilation air. So there's some things that are getting short-circuited just the way systems are looked at. The school knows about that, and that's one of those items that can be addressed in the near future. You're sitting in this space. This is 1953. You see the smiling faces with the students in this cafeteria. This stair is right there. Okay, nothing's changed. What has changed is the flooring has been replaced. And this ceiling, there was a ceiling here. It collapsed 2 days after the close of school over the cafeteria tables. Thank God the students weren't sitting in here. A large portion of the ceiling fell down that contained asbestos. Major issue that goes along with an older building. The school needs to be careful because that same ceiling is in that hallway over there, and they recognize that and they monitor that ceiling as well. Again, it's this plaster ceiling that fell here that contains asbestos. One of those issues that comes along with an older building. The brick that fell in the mid-90s from the face of the building in these sections. We know that water infiltrated behind the brick. The brick was held on with really skimpy metal ties that corroded once that water hit it. The brick fell after the children left from recess to go back in their class. So the students were in their classroom when that brick fell off the face of the building. that was replaced with a clapper that you see now that actually needs to be replaced. It's buckling in some areas, so the fix needs to be fixed. The stairwell that we spoke to at the annex had significant cracking, and the school recognized this and they replaced it before something drastic happened. Again, an exit stairwell to get students out of the building safely, potentially for it to collapse on it. Again, an area that the school took the measures to address before an accident happened, and that's what they've been doing this whole time. They've been keeping this building safe for the students, but they're doing the best they can with what they have. So that just gives you a snapshot of this building, and all what you've seen there. There was about a 1,000-page report of existing conditions conducted by the architects, all the engineers that was submitted as part of the feasibility study, and that was part of the MSBA requirement. They recognize that this building, again, has served its useful purpose. It's time to move on, and that's why they're here to offer you the opportunity to partner with you for this project. And just to take a look at the designs that were evaluated as part of this study early on, there are about 9 designs that were studied. Addition renovations to this school, addition renovations to Bournedale. We want to leave no stone left unturned. There are different grade configurations from neighborhood schools to all district pre-K-5s over at Bournedale. Through all the workshops, this is number 9, through all the workshops, all the feedback that we heard, an option emerged, which was based on grade spans, which was student-focused schools. In early elementary at Bournedale, because Bournedale was designed to be an early elementary school, an early childhood school. It has a half-size gym. Some of the spaces are appropriate for that grade level, but not K through 4. And some of the other spaces, like the library, are a bit undersized, but it's a perfect model to convert into an early elementary school or a student-focused school. This project would be Peebles 3 to 5 on this site, and then the existing Bourne Middle School would have the 5th grade extracted from it and put into an elementary school setting appropriate for that age group, and bringing Bourne Middle School to what it was intentionally built for, a 6 through 8. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Lamarche to expand on grade spans.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. We've been presenting this a couple of times now, and I'm trying to think of a newer way. First of all, I don't always think that I have a good speaking voice in a room like this. Teachers will know that because my loudness is kind of odd sometimes. But I want to start off this evening by saying thank you to teachers and parents in this school. Because the more you learn about this building, the more you can appreciate how proud people are, how much people make do with what we have as a facility. I mean, everything's relative, but in our community, we have great schools. And Peebles is one of those great schools, but look at the facility in which they have to operate in. It's amazing, but they make the best of it. As parents, you make the best of it. You make the best of what we're doing here. So my new twist on this, which I've tried a little bit here and there, is we didn't start with this grade span configuration. This evolved through our community meetings and our discussions. And what we've landed on is what we believe, honestly believe, is the greatest impact on this community in 100 years. On the education in this community in 100 years. And that's called the grade span perspective, the grade span schools. Looking at what we currently have. Now we're only here discussing this because of this particular building. And we started with, we're just replacing Peebles and opening up another elementary school. And we've come to the point where, wait a minute, we can impact the entire district and how we educate all students within this community. And that's a great place to be. That's a great place to present to you and to the community. Why are we here? Why are we at this particular point? Well, Ken just mentioned, Bournedale was actually started, and the actual title on the plans was Early Childhood Center. Those are the actual titles on the building plan for that. Bourne Middle School was started as a 6 through 8 school, all the way up until very close to digging in the ground and saying, wait a minute, we need to add more boxes to this building and change. We took an auditorium out, more guidance offices, some bathrooms. Let's put 5th grade in there now. This is no longer an afterthought project. This is a future project, a future for this community. We're a small enough community where we can make a huge difference and impact on the education, teaching, and learning at the youngest age, pre-K, all the way through grade 12. One simple piece of that is students will start together and then we'll finish together. We take the transitions, as we know as parents, are very difficult. We're taking the social aspect of that transition right out of it. That transition of 2 elementary schools combining into 5th grade, never mind the fact that they're going to middle school and where they are developmentally. Now they're starting in kindergarten. There's enough space, enough classrooms that we can share the social experience with those particular students across 7, 8 classrooms in that grade. We're giving them every advantage now, starting at an early age and working their way up through grade 12. Looking at it from an instructional perspective, is we know clearly instructionally, kids have milestones. Developmentally, but also instructionally. Our state frameworks are based off of this grade span. Pre-K to 12, 3 to 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. So we're going to match that. It didn't just pop out that way. It popped out that way because it's developmentally appropriate. Those are developmentally appropriate milestones academically for students. We have an expectation when students leave 2nd grade that they're at this spot, entering 3rd grade. A lot of it around literacy. We have an expectation with science and how that's coming around as it evolves from grade 5 and then it transitions to grade 6. So we're matching what is designed in our state with this particular grade span. But we're also matching developmental stages. We can really focus on the developmental aspects of students that are pre-K through 2 program, a 3 through 5 program, starting to get into the pre-adolescent stage. And then that wonderful era, which is my favorite area, the middle school, where we have no idea where those kids are going. Everything's monumental. Doesn't matter what it is. And it's when students start separating from their parents, but we can really focus on that 6th through 8th. There are many people who still believe 5th grade is still awfully young to be matched with 8th graders within the school. And this community didn't want that to start. That's what we ended up with. But how can we have the greatest impact on this community? It's not just because we're building a new school, replacing Peebles, but we're taking advantage of that process to build the best system we can within this community. And I'm going to share some more of this time on the educational aspect with Jane, Principal Jane.
One of the other points that Mr. Lamarche a little bit referred to is that it's not just an impact on the students. A big impact for teachers is that they'll be able to share resources, they'll be able to collaborate more on their grade levels, which will eventually have an impact on the students. And that is a huge benefit. Right now with the 2 elementary schools, we try to have a joint meeting once a month where we try to get them from the bridge and when they come over here and we try to meet and collaborate, but it makes that very difficult. Here now, every grade, regardless of what grade a child is in, their teachers are going to be with all the other grade level teachers within their district. So they'll have the same access to the same resources and all the different programs that the district has to offer. Part of what Mr. Lamarche was saying in terms of this school, the teachers here have done an amazing job. And I was speaking at FinCom last night, and I happened to mention how I had been at the middle school since it opened. And I didn't realize how spoiled I was until I came here, and how difficult it was just to manage day-to-day operations in the school, because we didn't have everything that was over at the middle school. I was surprised at how challenging it was, the lack of technology that we had here, and even when we were trying to add it, how it's inefficient to use because of the connectivity problems. Just today, I was getting emails from teachers, the Wi-Fi's not working on the front side of the building, and then later in the day it started working, but then the art room lost access, and then the teachers in the annex were emailing saying that they lost connectivity. Imagine what that's like for a teacher who's reserved the Chromebook card ahead of time, have the lesson ready in front of kids. The kids are excited, they've got the Chromebooks in front of them, they're ready to go, and they can't get online. And I can't even begin to tell you how many times that happens. And just in terms of the structural issues that Joel and Kent referred to, it does stop instruction, it impacts the learning. Last year we had Mrs. Correa's class where we had a consistent leak in the roof where it was just pouring on the kids' desks. So there were so many days where we had 3 to 4 maintenance men in there trying to figure out how to fix it and how to stop it. There were trash bags, there were barrels, they were standing on desks while she's trying to give her Eureka math lesson. Okay? And this happens all of the time in so many different ways. When Mr. Lamarche referred to that we've turned closets into offices, when I heard about that at the middle school, I was like, that's crazy. But then I came and I did the same thing because I needed a spot for the school psychologist. So there I was emptying. We have 2 closets left for the office. because we've had to turn all of those spaces into either special ed service spaces or office spaces for personnel. We just don't have the room. Part of what they spoke about the teacher's room, he neglected to say that's also where we store our tables and where we store our paper. Most schools get 2 to 3 pallets of paper delivered in the beginning of the year. We get 1 pallet, and it is spread out in every possible corner of this building because we just have no place to put it. The kids who are handicapped or the kids who've had injuries, kids are always breaking bones. This building is 3 to 4 different levels depending on where you are. So for a kid to go from the office area, we actually have to block the access going down to this upper level above us with the ramp, and it's the old-fashioned ramp where it folds down and goes down, but it completely stops the traffic because we can't get through. Then once they get down, they have to use this other ramp over here. If they want to go back up and they're down in the library area, it is literally a box of glass with a lift. And it is really a frightening thing to watch a child that's injured or handicapped go up in that thing to get to the top floor of the grade 3 building. It's just every day there's different challenges. This building, during the 2-hour lunch block, when they have to have the ventilation on in the cafeteria, it stops the ventilation everywhere else in the building. It becomes like a heater on steroids. It just gets hotter and hotter as the day goes on. And tired and hot kids, you don't have their attention. That it impacts them in every single one. And the thing is that as the years have passed, the teachers have, they've gotten used to that. They've been in survivor mode for so long that they forget what a normal classroom is supposed to be like. If I go over here and I look at this, all of our classrooms have 3 to 4 of these in there. Most of our classrooms have 2 outlets. The ones that don't, you can walk in there and you can see all the metal piping that's been added on the exterior. Last night I used the analogy of, having bought a 1953 car, have used it for over 60 years. It has all the wear and tear on it, all the repairs that needed, and then trying to turn it into a 2016 car with, fuel efficiency, ABC brakes, the safety bags, power steering, all of that stuff, and expecting it to work right without any problems. And all of that money that we dump into it. And as I walk around this building, it's only a matter of time before we get that awful call where we have to shut the school down. So if you come to the tours on Saturday, I'll be more than happy to point out those areas. Now, when you walk around the school, the maintenance have done an incredible job making shiny floors and keeping it clean. But in terms of the structural aspects of this building, in all of the mechanical systems that makes teaching difficult, those things face us every day, and they're only going to get worse, and they're only going to get more costly. One of the points that were brought up last night is that on a year-to-year basis, we have over 180 communities applying to the Msba for some kind of funding. If it's not new buildings, it's for repairs of sections of buildings. Okay, we were one of 10 communities that were selected for that. 1 of 10. That is hugely significant. Okay, this is an organization that vets out everything to make sure that they don't waste their dollars. Number one, they're not going to build a project that's not needed. They're not going to build a school that's going to be empty when it's open. They know it's needed. They've done their homework because it's a lot of money. One of the things that I feel a lot when I get called to a classroom because something's broken or something doesn't work, is that teaching is really hard enough, especially in today's world. Everything that our kids are exposed to, everything they're going through. Teachers should not have to fight their learning space on top of all that while they're delivering instruction. So I hope that you get the word out, and any facts that you need to know, we can help you, and I'll be here on Saturday from 1 to 3 taking people on. And if Saturday doesn't work for you, just let me know. I'll do it another day. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now what I'd like to do is take a look at that solution, the design. The design is, after all those options are vetted out, is a new school for 460 students for 72,680 square feet. And that size is based on the state guidelines. So all the spaces that equate to that number are governed by the state, and that's what we follow to size this building. The new building is located in the area of the existing tennis courts. As part of this project, the tennis courts will be relocated adjacent to the track and the football field. This school has advantage because there's ample room on the site for the building project, the roadway, vehicular circulation, as well as the existing school to remain occupied during the construction. There'll be a construction fence around this entire site with a construction access as well as access into the school. So there will be no conflicts with parents picking up and dropping off in the buses and the day-to-day activity of the school. This is a look at the completed campus with the new Peebles School on the high side of the site off of Trowbridge, the high school and the middle school with this green captured in between, this green space captured in between with the existing softball field and the new tennis courts. A closer look, you can see that the look of the building is maintaining a Cape-style vernacular, very simple design, sloped roofs on two of the main sections, the community wing and the academic wing. You can see the circulation route around the entire building. We have this one-way circulation route, so there could be a clear separation between the buses and the cars. I just want to point out this is the bus drive here with the main parking lot on the west side, the east side of the main entry. And this is a look on the approach from the main parking lot. This is the front of the building. Again, we're taking advantage of a Cape-style architecture here. We have the sloped roof of the community wing here, the library portion here. It's very simple. And what's important here is thinking about the age of the students. We're going to create a building that pays attention to scale and texture, and not a building that's imposing but very welcoming to that age student. Taking a look at the floor plans, the plan is very simple. There's two main wings, a community wing here with a 6,000 square foot gymnasium that's double the size of this gymnasium, with a stage and a large cafeteria space. On the opposite side is the academic wing with the third grade on the first floor and a new library with sped associated spaces. Adjacent to the main entry, and highlighted in green, is the administration and guidance. So they have their eyes on the main vestibule. That's a double lock system for security. So after students arrive at the beginning of the day, this door will be locked. They have to be buzzed into the vestibule and then buzzed in again to access the school. All the doors will be locked to keep hard access after the students enter the building. What's very important to this plan is what's clustered in the center, and there's an exterior courtyard that's a project space, and it's part of an innovation cluster. There's an art room that opens up to the iStudio. That's the innovation studio or project space that the elementary students currently use at the high school, and it's a great program that really focuses on project-based learning. And so when you enter the building, you see the academic activities happening right off the main lobby as well as the community side with the gymnasium and the cafeteria. On the upper level, we have grades 3 and 4, each with associated breakout spaces and collaborative team spaces. And that's really what the plan looks like, very, very simple, two main bars with a community wing and an academic wing. And this is a look at the main entry lobby. When you enter the building, you get an instant sense of community with the cafeteria space, as well as innovation and an introduction to the academic spaces. A glimpse into the innovation studio here, and a larger lobby area where the students can collaborate, get together, they can hang out here. Art is displayed everywhere. So when you walk in the building, you know what good work's happening, what these students are doing. Not only with the display cabinets, but getting a glimpse into the academic spaces, which is very important. That's a glimpse at the design. Part of this district plan on grade spans does have an impact on transportation. And the part of this exercise is to evaluate different scenarios for transportation. There's 3 options that have been evaluated. One of the options, and this goes to the school committee conversation in the past about the high school starting a bit later, has the high school starting 40 minutes later and grouped with the middle school. So they would ride together because the high school ridership is relatively low. The high school gets to start 40 minutes later, and Peebles and Bournedale will remain at 9 o'clock. Another option is keeping all the schools at their current start times at the high school at 7:15. The final scenario will be decided by the school committee as the building nears completion. What's this mean when it comes to the trip duration, the amount of time the students, additional time the students may be on the bus? If you're a first and second grader and you reside on the Cape side, you have 15 minutes, approximately 15 minutes to your trip. If you're a third or fourth grader and you're off Cape, you add approximately 15 minutes. So that just kind of sums up how much longer the students may be on the bus with their respective grades. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Joel to walk us through design and construction schedule.
So with the successful passage of the ballot election on December 6th, the architects and engineers would immediately commence development of the detailed construction drawings that would be given to the contractor to bid and construct the project. They would start that. It takes about 8 to 10 months to develop the full set of detailed drawings. The project would go out to bid in October of 2017, with construction commencing November of 2017. With the building opening in August of 2019. With the opening of the new Peebles School, we'll then be able to demolish the existing school and create the site work that's in that general vicinity, with the final completion of the overall project in November of 2019. The total project cost for the project is $39.91 million. There's no getting around it. That's a large number. Part of the process working with the state is they recognize that as well. And that's why they have a reimbursement program, a grant program to help communities such as yourselves pay for such needed schools. The $39.91 million is comprised of the building construction cost itself, the building and site of $30.91 million, fees and expenses, furnishings, fittings, and educational technology equipment, and contingencies bring the total to $39.91 million. It's important to note that the building committee has been very diligent in this overall process in trying to maintain control and keep the project cost as low as possible and as efficient as possible. At the last time we met, the project was a little over $41.4 million. And the hard work of the building committee in making sure that the design is as efficient as possible has brought that overall project cost down to $39.91, with a total savings around about $1.5 million. So the building committee is working for you as the committee should, and really looking after the taxpayers' dollars to make sure that the proposal is as efficient and cost economical as possible. A little bit about the MSBA, Massachusetts School Building Authority's grant program. They'll provide reimbursement on the overall project costs for eligible costs. That's their terminology for parts of the project that they'll participate in. If there's eligible costs, that means there's ineligible costs. And so what are those? Site costs that are 8% or higher than the building cost. Building costs that are over $312 a square foot. The MSBA doesn't expect or believe that costs for site are 8% or less of building costs. In fact, they fully believe that they're more, because they are. They fully believe that building costs are more than $312 a square foot. But that's their way of capping their obligation to every single community in the Commonwealth. They treat everybody the same, so that they can spread their 1 cent on the sales tax that they get every day, every year. That's their revenue source, and they are able to distribute that as broadly as they can across the Commonwealth. And it's just part of their overall process. The thing that we don't want to lose sight of is that through all of this process, the state is providing a grant of $15.15 million. So the reimbursement percentages are your base rate of 45.32%, and then there's incentive points added on top of that, between 0 and 2% additional points MSBA will provide for based on your maintenance. And they've said, you've done a great job maintaining your buildings. We understand that. We also understand they're very aged and they require that. Having a 1.31% increase based on your maintenance is a very good rate. Many communities don't even get above 1 because, you know, their investment within their facilities and maintenance. But the town of Bourne has done a very good job in maintaining the building. Green design as well as an additional 2% reimbursement. The building is going to be energy efficient design, which is going to save in the long run operational costs for the town. MSBA really believes in that. They're your partner and they're providing 2 additional reimbursement percentage points for that. So then how does that reimbursement reflect against the $39.91 million total project? The MSBA grant is going to be $15.15 million. So the cost to town is reduced to $24.76 million. That's still a big number, absolutely understand that. But to have a grant of such a significant amount from the state for this project is extremely significant from the MSBA. So how does that $24.76 million reflect on the taxpayer? It's approximately 45 cents per thousand. We need to understand that this calculation is a little fluid. It's very conservative. It's based on a 20-year bond with a 5% interest rate. And we know municipalities can borrow much less than that right now. But the way the building committee wanted to portray this information was conservatively. We're working with the town's leadership to make sure that the appropriate level of bond duration and interest is reflected to you, the citizens, by the time the town meeting arrives October 17th. So that's a little bit in flux right now. A lot of work is going on in that respect. But at this moment, with a 20-year bond and 5% interest rate, it would be approximately $178 for the average homeowner. And that average home is $398,544. So that gives you an idea of the range of the cost of the project. So what does that $178 look like on a monthly basis? 14.88 cents. And on a daily basis, 49 cents per day. So our next steps are working with the community. We have additional outreach going on between now and the town meeting vote on October 17th. We have, as Principal Norton indicated, tours this Saturday, September 24th, of the existing Peebles School. We'd encourage everyone to show. It is very, very enlightening if you haven't been in the building in a while. It is, again, served the town very, very well, but there are serious, significant structural issues with the building. So special town meeting is October 17th, and then the ballot vote is December 6th. 2 very, very critical dates for the residents of Bourne. And with that, in closing, all of the documents that have been developed over the last 2 years are published on the School Building Committee's website on the town page. Right on the front page, you'll see a link to the School Building Committee, and all of the documents are there for your review. It's been a very transparent process. We appreciate all of the input over this last year and a half in developing this proposal. And at this point, we'd like to open it up for any questions.
The only other thing, another way to look at it with the tax, we know it's huge. We know it is. We know we're a diversity of voters. This is not something we take lightly, but keep in mind, we were tasked with this by the town. The town gave us $750,000 and voted on it to go out and find the best option for this building. We're going to do our job. We're going to do it very well. We're going to be very thorough with it. And that's what we're bringing forward. But the next step is we're at the mercy of the town going forward and the town voters. I think what's really important is, you know, as educators, the easiest thing to always do is be negative and say no. We know that. But we need people to educate themselves on what this is about. To educate themselves as to why we're at this particular point. To take the tour on Saturday or any day, contact the Principal Norton. Another way that I've tried to look at the figures too over time is to try to make it palatable in some way, shape, or form, because that's a huge tax increase, no question about it. It's not the 49 cents a day, but if it was a 20-year mortgage, so the average tax base of the $398, it's a total bill of around $3,500 in 20 years for a home. For us to, again, have the greatest impact on the district, but also to change the instruction that's happening in this building by providing an innovative new facility to match what we have at Thorndale, to match what we have at the middle school, to match what we, believe it or not, have at the high school. The high school is built extremely well. You'd be totally surprised if you weren't aware of all this, the difference in construction from the 50s to the 60s. That building was built in the 60s, Bourne High School. This was post-World War II era. So that was really, from my perspective, it was a scramble to get as many materials as you can to throw up a building. But there was a lot of innovation and things that changed from the 50s to 60s. That high school will be there for a long time. We're not coming forward with a high school project in the near future or in the future, from my perspective. That's 20, 30 years from this particular point. We may need some help with the roofs or something like that, you know, some systems over there, but as far as the envelope and the structure of that building, it's sound. It's great. So again, there's ways to try to look at this. We're doing our job to bring this forward, this feasibility study. What's the best option? We had ideas. There were ideas to put the addition on Thorndale. That seemed to make a lot of sense. Well, it was cost prohibitive to do that. There was actually more money than the proposed new building to do that. And there are reasons behind that. There's so many details involved with this. If you go to the town website and look up at all the documents, you're going to get lost. You're going to get lost. That's why there's the Weebly site, the newpeoplesweebly.com, because it breaks it down. We've had a volunteer put that together, and it breaks down the information so it's user-friendly. But thousands and thousands of pages of work that we put into this. This isn't flying by the seat of your pants by any means. And MSBA has very strict guidelines for us. We have homework on a regular basis. What I try to tell my kids all the time, homework doesn't stop when you graduate from school. It continues forever. But again, we need the community to get involved. You know, sometimes you sit back and sometimes there are things that are going on and you feel like the community to a certain extent, and that's inside, internally, as well as externally, seems to be passive with some certain things. This is something we can't be passive with. This is something we have to educate ourselves, educate the community. If we truly want this is something we have to get involved in and engaged in. It's too easy to be negative, and it's too easy to say no. We know that as educators.
Thank you all for coming. One thing that I will point out is that a debt exclusion is different from an override. We're going to fund this project through a debt exclusion. The difference is that a debt exclusion is like a mortgage. When it's paid off, it ends, it goes away, as opposed to an override that lasts forever. So that's the one distinction between those two things. Thank you very much for coming. And tell your neighbors, tell your friends at the supermarket, at church, wherever you go, please talk this up, because we really need to get the community behind this project. Thank you.